So I just want to run through digital security by design, give you a sense of what we're aiming at, and my colleague Katie will be talking more specifically about what we're doing with the technology access programs at Digital Catapult, but I'll just allude to that. And so just a bit of background. So really, what this is about is addressing and trying to change the way that you look at security today. So in the first 10 years of my career, I was working in network security, and primarily, that involved assuming that there's vulnerabilities everywhere. You assume there's lots of vulnerability. You assume that the equipment that you get, back to this openness point, you kind of assume that there's, because it's opaque proprietary software, there's problems in there. So for the most secure things, we would create these horrible, complex systems with multiple layers, all interconnected together. And usually they were very fragile because you have to create some sort of redundancy and failover system, which is really, really horrible to do. And that was my job, to try and make it as good as it could be. And part of this is down to the point at the bottom that today's technology is developed where performance and cost are more important than cybersecurity. And I think this is, innovation today is driven by the consumer market. The rate of innovation from consumer has really overtaken, say, enterprise and telecoms, and has moved all the way through that. And so this idea of move fast and break things is in place, and that is affecting the security that you've got and supplanting the more security-led technologies in the past. So the question is, what can we do to make it better? Mitigations, finding the vulnerabilities and fixing them rather than, but the question is, can we prevent security in advance? Can we essentially use the kind of technologies that Bruce was talking about 40 years ago? Can we put those in place to stop them at source rather than trying to fix them after they've happened? And so that's what the aim is with the Digital Security by Design program that we're talking about here. And the aim is to, by 2025, to overcome the market failure that Bruce was talking about earlier on, I'm talking very quickly, so I'm actually probably quicker than Amanda, so apologies. Wave your hand if I'm talking too quickly, back to her point. So the aim is to radically update the foundation, so starting at the very bottom, and to try and do this from the actual hardware, the CPU at the very bottom. And the program has already proven in more than two different industrial areas. So the Hut Group is a key part of this in e-commerce, and also there's Scottish Gas Networks. Sorry, SDN. I was just trying to remember the. So in critical infrastructure as well, and it's really an ecosystem game. So you can't just do this by one thing on its own. You've got to have the whole ecosystem. So we're starting here with a bigger ecosystem of 30 of the leading technology companies, primarily UK-based, but the intention is obviously to grow that because it's a global ecosystem for technology. And just specifically what we're talking about, this is starting with with Cherry technology developed in University of Cambridge, and that has been then included in a board from ARM, who will be speaking in a moment, the Morello board. So some kind of fruit theme running through there. Cherry, I believe, was also based on Capiscum earlier on. So I'm slightly disappointed they didn't go down a chili route, but nevertheless, Morello's quite good. And the key thing here is the memory points that Bruce mentioned earlier on. So fine-grained memory protection to stop you from getting the wrong bits of memory that you should have. And also another part about scalable compartmentalization of the software. And it's backwards compatible, so you should be able to use normal software, but to get the value from it, obviously you need to build using all those technologies. So there's a software stack here, starting at the very bottom all the way to the applications at the top. And then this is a picture of what it looks like. And as I said at the bottom, same things that Bruce already mentioned. So I can skip over this more or less, but that's what it looks like, a chip on a card. And then the program is really about taking the software ecosystem. So I don't have to rush so much. So the program is really about taking the whole ecosystem. It's getting all of this, the whole software stack to work and trying to prove it out. So the idea is to get by 2025 a fully mature working system that can be deployed and you can rely on. And so we're starting at the moment trying to get organizations to use this, to test it out, to innovate, and to try and prove what works, what doesn't, to prove out the things about the cost and economics, to make sure the performance works, and to really identify where the problems are, but also to prove the things that work and get that whole software ecosystem working. We have a number of projects starting now. We've got the Technology Access Program that we in Digital Catapult are working on specifically. And there's, I think, the next slide. And this is about how to get involved. So you've got, so UKRI, you can talk to them. So Nula's just there who can help providing information, get access to the Morello boards, or to work on the Technology Access Program, which Katie will talk about later. But really what we want to do is build this ecosystem, get the whole software stack working and prove it out and mature the technology. I think I will leave it there.